The battery cables, the positive and the negative. It puts on a nice covering over that lens. What's going on, everybody? Here's what's on the table. AMT Chevy Nova SS Pro Stock 1/25th scale, part A1142M100. Gonna do this in the Pro Stock version. 116 piece kit. Let's see. Pro Stock 454 rat engine. Let's crack this box open. Maybe. What we got in here? Windshield and sublease, rear window, front. Looks like side windows maybe too. Some clear taillights. Rich chrome tree. A couple different wheel packages in here. Grill, rear assembly, ladder bars, oil filter or oil pan. Goodness, lost of words today. Basically your engine dress-up kit. Everything in this kit is molded in black. So we have our engine, seats, the hood. I think there's a couple different hood options too. One with the hood scoop and then a standard hood. Set this aside just for a second. You get your tire package here. You can do all four skinnies for the stock mode. Looks like they are Goodyear tires. And then the slicks are Racemaster slicks. Same tires as the Chop T-build actually. Front fenders. Looks like dash assembly, stock hood if you want to go that route. And some exhaust parts and etc. Another motor there. So one of them is the 454, one's the. Gonna crack the case open on this here. You have the full sub-assembly here, floor pans. Looks like it's pretty detailed. Your interior tub and the body. The body is black molded. Look, a little crack there. Not cracked as isn't a crack, but just a molding line. A little bit of flashing here in the bottom. We'll have to get cleaned up. Outside of that, everything seems pretty sturdy. You do have to install the fenders on this model, and it's going to need a good wash. So there it is, all in a little nutshell. And we'll grab the instructions and the decal kit real quick. I'd opened this up earlier just to kind of check things out. Nice little decal package. It's got your contingency stickers on there. You name it, either Old Pro or the Innovator. I'm not sure which direction we'll go with that. My thought is to paint this green. Initially, here's my thought. This, what's it called? Fluorescent Aqua from Createx Wicked. It's kind of what I'm leaning towards initially, but we'll see how that pans out as we go along here. The instructions are definitely a lot better than the last car I did. It looks like about 5, total of 8 steps wrapped into the build. And actually 7 because you have separation of the motor there. Let's get some parts opened up and let's dig into this thing. Okay, well, I went through. I got they'll put a little paint on the back side of the wheel backs. Next thing we got to look into, we'll get the motor starting to put together. There is a lot of chrome on this. It's requiring, or it's asking for Chevy orange, and I think that's what we're going to do anyway. I do have, we'll end up airbrushing the orange because it just lays on so much nicer than trying to paint it. Hand paint it with the enamel, or I can just hand paint it and then I'll have to clear coat it. So if I'm going to clear coat it, I might as well just airbrush it. Okay, I need to get that out. The valve covers on this are side specific. Fortunately, when I cut them off, I didn't realize that, but they do have a notch and this one does not, so it saves you. The flashing on this kit is pretty minimal. There is quite a bit of flashing on the hood piece, but it's not actually on the hood, it's just on the tree itself. So we do have a little bit of a warpage here. We'll iron that out as we glue this together. But other than that, the fit is pretty good. I'm not going to have to shave anything. Maybe a little bit in there. I think that's just actually going to be the warp. All right, let's tack these together. We'll start up here in the front. We'll start working our way back because there is a bit of a warp there. I'm really pinching these together too, so as soon as that glue goes in, I'm giving her a squeeze. Water pump had like a slot for it to go into. They were trying to put a round peg into a slotted hole, so I had to take my hobby knife and slice that pin so I could slide it in there. So it was just a half moon shape, but the peg on here was round. All right, this is ready for paint. So we're gonna get this painted in orange, get this set up to dry, so we can shoot some clear coat on it, and then we can get all the rest of the parts put on. I'm gonna spray the interior tub first because I'm building this as a pro street car. It's got a roll bar in it, so I'm gonna make the interior aluminum, even though it does have door panels. The dashboard, that will make that aluminum. I'm just gonna get a bunch of parts out here that are gonna be aluminum. Gone and done a couple things. One, I was trying to see if the aluminum would look good on the interior, which that's what I'm gonna go with. Even though it does have interior pieces, we're still gonna go with that aluminum look on the inside. It had a little bit more metallic than I really wanted, but it's gonna be okay. Did the headers, I did the dashboard in the aluminum, and then I painted the motor in the orange. I've just been playing around off camera a little bit. I gotta clean my airbrush, and I shot a couple colors, and I said, well, I'm gonna do this really quick, and then I'm gonna do that really quick, and then I end up not recording any of it. Here's the dashboard with the aluminum. I think I might take a piece of flat stock and just cover that up. I think I have some gauges, gauge decals maybe, or I can lay in there, and then I'll do the epoxy or the resin, and I'll come and fill this up. Or I'm gonna take a piece of flat styrene sheet and I'm gonna lay it over the top and put some decals behind it or something like that. That will help. That will help give it that pro stock look, or that drag racer look instead of the interior. There's that. Now the seat. Here's where I went with the seat. That's going to be the color of the car, that green. And that green over the black. I considered painting everything aluminum or silver, and then going with the green, but that was going to make the car that was going to make the paint a little bit brighter, and I wanted a dark green. So I think that's the direction of the green, is that stripe. And I think what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure if I'm going to turn this white. Because it's so dark, I may not be able to achieve that. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm going to clear the interior, the dashboard, this part. I think that's all I painted so far. That's not ready yet. In matte clear, 4052 matte clear, because I don't really want it to be shiny. Shoot this up, and when we come back, we'll start putting the motor together and figuring out what we're going to do for this. So, and right before we get into the motor build here, what I did with the seats is I left them the stock mold color black, and I just put some matte finish over it. I tested on a back piece, and it turned out pretty decent, so I figured why waste the paint and time, and I just matte finished. Them. So it turned out pretty good. Work on the motor first. While the motor's got some stuff going, we can maybe work on this dashboard. I want to paint this gunmetal, but the orange stayed a little darker than I would hoped it would have. Keep this piece close. All right, I'm gonna put the valley in first. I want to get this cleaned off. I want to get this some fresh material down here because you don't want to glue over the chrome. I like to use the cement on some of the stuff. Valve covers are not specific for orientation. It's time for a new emery board. I still have to paint the transmission, so it gives me time to paint that as well. All right. We're gonna let that sit up for a little while, do its thing. If I can get it to sit somewhere. Set this aside for a second. Let's paint this section. While that's setting up, I'll get this painted, then we'll paint that. What is on your build table today, guys? What are you working on? Are you building and watching YouTube? Or are you taking a break and figure, I'm going to catch up on some videos? Just finished up a chopped tea on my last build. That was a pretty good time. The instructions were very, very lackluster. We got her done. All right, we get the tires out here. Now the Race Masters are white walled, however the Goodyears are not. I think I'm probably going to come in and use the clips for this, for at least the back tires. I'm not going to be able to do it to the front, so I'm not sure what we're going to do to that yet. Let me get the back tires set in. We will be using the regular cement for this. There we go. Tires complete. We're gonna let some stuff flash off, dry off good. I pulled out my little sheet of styrene here. Polystyrene. We're gonna make something to cover that up. So it is kind of curved. I'll have to massage it when I get it in there, I think, a little bit. But we're gonna do 7/8 by about a 1/2 inch. Okay. Got the piece made. Spent some time sanded around the edges here just to kind of smooth things out a little bit. Dashboard is curved, so I curved it with the dashboard. So now what my attempt is going to be is, comes with a tachometer. Try and drill a hole and see if I can inlay that in there at an angle. And so I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to start burrowing a hole, and as soon as I figure out exactly where I want it. All right. Flip it back a little bit. All right. Let's see if I can do this without causing too much of a mess. I'm going to add some pieces from a 3D print I did. They're actually from a intake. They are fuel sensors. I clipped them off the intake because I'm not using it. And man, are they tiny. They're for the fuel injectors. That's the word I was looking for. Goal is to try and make them into switches. So there we go. We got the gauge cluster here. Got 3 switches on the dash. This is not this is the first time I've done any scratch work at all. So bear with me if you could, because clearly I'm on the struggle bar motor. I can get stuff mounted into this. I'm going to hold off on that so I don't break anything. I think once I get these in, I'm probably going to have to stop as far as the motor goes. Thing about these is you've got to get them sitting absolutely straight and held in, otherwise your carburetors are going to be off, because these don't fit down inside the well of this unit. There is nothing that wants to hold this motor up. Okay, let that dry up. So I've come back to the body a little bit, and because this is supposed to be a pro stock drag car, and I already messed with the dashboard, which I'm not completely done with that yet. I covered up the dash cluster. I inlaid the tachometer, and then put in some switches. I'm going to put some more switches over on this side. I got a couple different ideas still. So because I covered that plate up to make it more of a drag vehicle, and I painted the tub here aluminum, I went through and I created with some styrene to cover up the panels. And I had some square stock that I trimmed in half to help take up that space. So I'm going to come in here and I'll just repaint this aluminum. It covers up the door skins, and then then when this dashboard sits in, it tucks in around those pieces. So it's kind of helps square that up a little bit. It's not going to have the back seat in it because it's going to have a roll bar anyway. So this way it'll only have the seats in the front, and changed out the shifting console for the drag shift mechanism there. So all right, I've got that painted up. So now I don't have any more door skins. I just have a flat panel. There we go. Okay, so I've come up with an idea. for some switches on the dash panel. And I made this little piece here out of some styrene, and I beveled the edge here because I'm going to try and mount it somewhat at an angle. The trick is I don't have a vise and I don't have any mounting equipment, so I'm going to be at the mercy of my tweezers, gravity, and the feeling of despair as this thing shoots off the end of my tweezers, or the tweezers stick to it when I try and glue it in. Because every time I go push, these tweezers just sink right down to the bottom of the hole. I think I've got something going here. If I can glue the back side of this without it falling though. The front glued in. So now what the plan is these nails have like a pinched head on them. And so I'm going to cut the little chunks. That one doesn't. A couple of these had like little pinched heads on them. So they kind of had the look of a switch. That one did. I got 3 holes, so I already used that one. That's one I tried. It was perfect. And I stuck it in the tweezers. The gravitational forces and the universe collided, and it shot off the tweezer to worlds unknown. If you know, you know. Like it's gone. It like shot. I couldn't even tell what direction it went. I was holding it, you know, nice and gingerly. Just had it sitting in here, you know, and I was just holding on to the end of it, and away she went. All right. I got the frame painted aluminum. I gotta come back and clean up some of the edges here. Don't want it to flash off good. I got the chassis drying. And I've got the headers on the motor drying. There is no mounting sight for the seats. So I'm gonna have to drill my holes for the roll bar, figure out where the roll bar is at, get the roll bar set in, get it glued, and then I can put the seats in. So that's going to be on the back burner. The majority of the time, we're our own worst enemy with our preparation. And preparation is 99% of your finish. If you skimp on prep work, you're going to see it in the finish. You can take that same theory in every job, whether it's painting a car, whether it's doing concrete, whether it's finishing something, a piece of furniture. If you don't do your prep work, and make sure your prep work is done correctly, you're going to see it in the finish. So we'll get that taped up. We'll get our paint mixed up. And we'll be using the 0.5 fan tip for this. So we will end up putting more paint than normal. Then the 0.3 sprays a little bit. Doesn't have as much overspray or atomization. So if I have a little bit too much, that's the less that I have to mix up again. Next we're going to add in some 40-30 balancing clear, 10% of that. Balancing clear, just said before, just helps it turn into more of a urethane. A little harder finish, harder to scratch. It makes it a little bit more durable. So 10%, so 0.5. It doesn't have to be that much science. Oh, 0.55, plenty. Way too much. You have to mix this up really, really good. Just when you mix the 40-30 in, it is also a bit on the thicker side. So you want to make sure it has good blend, incorporates really well. And then when you put your reducer in, you want to kind of wait just a little bit. Let the 40-30 kind of take on the green take on the 40-30. Because if you put the reducer in too quick, you could shock it. It'll actually shock the paint, and you end up with blotchiness. You don't get a good blend. So Createx recommends that you let your paint set for 5 to 10 minutes. When that reducer's in, it needs to break the surface tension of the pigment. It needs to break the surface tension of that 40-30 that's in there. So that's why good mixing, good stirring is so important. All right, so I'll get you moved over to the paint booth, get the gun filled up. All right, test the gun, it's got some good flow. Make sure there's no debris in it. I do run a little 40-21 through the gun before I put the paint in, just to make sure I don't have any debris stuck in there. Turn the fan on. It's just going to get loud. We're going to paint. quick, take a look at the body. So it come in as dark green. I had one little blemish there. It's still got to dry off a little bit. It's still pretty tacky yet. It's fine to the touch, but it really needs a good solid hour probably to lock the color in. So I went with 4 coats of that green over the black. I wanted the dark color. I wanted that dark finish look, and I've achieved that. Right onto the fenders. Now it's kind of a matte look to it right now, and that's just because it's dry. I'm going to put this in a 4053 high gloss. All right, body is ready for a clear coat. Everything's nice and fully dried. It's been sitting for a good couple hours now, so I'm interested to see how much that gloss is up, how much that color comes back as soon as I hit it with the clear coat. So I picked up these, and I'll show you here in a little while. I picked up this head piece that goes around. It's got magnifying glasses on it. I don't want to botch the guy's, his name's Bill, but I don't want to botch the guy's site, the name of it. It's Loki. It's Loki something, and I'll get it correct, and then I'm gonna pop back in later in the video. I'll have it what it's supposed to be is the true name. Anyway, on his video, he had this headset on, and I've seen other modelers use it. It comes with different eyepieces. You can change them out for different magnification. And I hit him up. I asked him how well they worked. He said he really enjoyed them. And so I've been looking through this. It's a 10x, I think, magnifying glass with a light. It's not bad, except it makes the images kind of bend. And after I've been sitting at the hobby desk for an extended period of time, it starts messing with the eyes. And so when I get done at night, my eyes are strained, and it's just not the warm and fuzzy feeling. So, chassis brought over here. We're going to glue the suspension parts in, except for the drive shaft. And then I can clear coat all of that. What I had to do, I had to flip this shackle around. I don't think it made a difference, but I do notice that the spring is a lot straighter now. I ended up kind of leaning it over a little bit. That seems to look a little bit better. Except when you reintroduce that liquid cement, it reconstitutes and turns everything liquid. The only problem I have trying to glue the differential axle on now is I don't know angle. So the only real other way to do this would be to glue the springs in and then set the differential in. I do have to put shocks on here as well, but basically, I think what I have to do is flip the car around and set the differential in, which means I'm probably gonna have to put the motor in temporarily just so I can get a drive shaft orientation. And it doesn't give order of installation other than put the shocks on. We are ready to start the clear coat process. I ended up cutting couple of red wires, red wire and a black wire. I'll lay the wires down, super glue them on, lay them over. Let's see. The roll bar will get clear coated in the gloss. I was gonna do it in flat, but in matte finish, but full transparency. I am not gonna mix up a batch of just for this piece. I don't see the benefit. So anyway, I gotta get some of the straps here. I'll put a coat on, and then I'll take this and I'll move it over and I'll put a coat on. In fact, I may just do it right down here and clear it, and then once this flashes off, I'll move this over and I'll clear it, and then that will give me sufficient clear coat on that. I'm yet to determine what these are for. 72. I didn't see anything about these anywhere. Doesn't, I don't know. I thought, you know, maybe it was some kind of side skirting, but there's nothing, no, there's nothing anywhere on here that shows what those go to. So they shall not go on. If that's some sort of trim, some, you know, but anyway, not seeing it. All right, we're gonna get our clear coat mixed up. Like I said, we're gonna go with a 4021, the high gloss, and we'll shoot that with a 0.5 just so we can get some good coverage. Did I see 4053 high gloss? Do I have enough? Yep, I have enough. Right, we're gonna mix up a good batch. Probably gonna go with about 8 grams. I ended up having to add, when I did the clear, or when I did the green on the body, I ended up having to add or mix up another batch of about 4.5 grams. And then, of course, I threw out about 2 grams of it, but I was running way short. And so we'll mix up probably an overabundance amount like I always do. And we'll get that over to the paint booth. So next time you see me, you'll be over at the paint booth witnessing the clear coat. All right, I'm going to shoot a 25 PSI. All right. the body all clear coated. All the parts are cleared. We're going to start some assembly. I still would like the body to flash off a little bit more. It didn't take on the gloss that I thought it was going to take. I've used this before. I've used it several times. And I may end up having to polish this. It kind of mottled a little bit. Some areas came out really super bright, like it's supposed to. Some of it mottled a little bit. And so I think what'll probably happen is I will polish this one. I had a little mishap right here. From earlier, I tried to touch it up, and it took on, maybe I should have laid the paint down just a little bit thicker, but these, it went a different color. I don't know what happened here. Well, this is not going to be one of my best builds after all. Yeah, this took on a lot different color. I'll just throw it over here so that I can pick up any trash. Wow. I'm not sure you guys can see that. I'm gonna do some work with the body. I'm not done yet. It should have all looked just like this. Maybe I'll wet sand this and I'll put some more. I'll put another coat on it because they got the same amount of coats, the same material. So I don't know what happened, but I may wet sand that. Looked at the body. I had some clear polish. I put some polish on it. It actually kind of dulled it a little bit. I may end up coming in and respraying. I'll just dry sand all the clear coat off, and just lay another coat of the green in, like I did do with the body. Some light in here. I did add some plug wires, or not plug wires, but battery cables, the positive and the negative, and I left enough hang so that I could route them as necessary. We're going to get the headlights set in, and the taillights. We're going to use the UV resin from Han Curing. It's fast curing, low order, bubble free, and this uses, you see my other videos, uses the UV light to get hardened. Basically set it up, push your button for 60 seconds, 90 seconds, or 150 seconds, and that hardens it, the UV in there, that hardens the resin. I'm going to dab some in there. We're going to drop the pieces in, and then we're going to cover them with the UV blue, or UV blue. Who's had a drink or two? This stuff does have a good surface tension to it, so when you fill up, gauge clusters or these headlight buckets, it doesn't really run around. This isn't the type of resin that you can use for gluing parts. That's a different style of resin because it has to have contact with the light in order for it to harden up. And we're going to do one at a time. Lay this over the top, put it on for 60 seconds. I need to block the UV light from that so it doesn't harden up. I got this idea, I was watching Matt's Models and More, and he had this particular unit, and so I went through his page, his link, and picked one of these up. I'll have it in my link as well. or you can go to Matt's Models and More if you watch him, and you can purchase it through his link too. It's a pretty cool unit. Reasonably priced. Comes with 2 bottles of the UV resin, at least the one that I did, the one I got did, and quite literally you're using a drop per job. It's a 100-gram bottle. It'll take forever to get through it. 60 seconds, and it's hard as a rock. And you got a nice tail light in there. All right, so we're gonna do the next 2, or the next one. We're gonna do the same thing for the headlights. The glass or the plastic on the headlights on this particular model they're pretty cloudy. So I'm gonna put UV underneath. And I'm gonna put UV on top. And you have a crystal clear headlight in there. That's without the headlight. That's with. I promised I was going to tell you about the headset that I had gotten. I wanted to remember what that guy's YouTube channel was, the correct channel. It's Loki's, L-O-K-I-S, Scale Models on YouTube. He was wearing this headset. It's got an LED light on it, 3 levels. I have found that the LED, while directionable, does not really benefit for my purpose. Jeweler, maybe. Smudged it up a little bit. It's adjustable this way. It's adjustable up and down. Get it to where you want it. You can lay it right into your vision. I wear glasses. This was a question I had for Loki's channel, was, does this work with glasses? I'm darn near blind. And he showed it works with his. So I said, you know what, I got to try this out. Picked it up on the Amazon, on the Jungle website. I'll have a link in my description. It's from Yakto-san. Fully adjustable headset. You can use, you can pull these all the way in and not use them, wear them like glasses. But since I do wear glasses, it sits a little bit funky on my face, so I extend these out. And these wrap around your head. Magnet can, you know, a magnet holds them together, and it's pretty strong. It's very, very strong. The kit I got, I think it was like $18, maybe $20 on the Jungle site. Like I said, I'll have a link in my description for it. It came with all these different lenses. So you got your options of different strength lenses all the way up to 4X. That's particular model I got came with up to the 4X power 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and 4. The 4 I thought was going to be more beneficial for me. It works great at that 4 as long as your face is close to it. And then it really amplifies well. So I was using, put my phone off the stand here, I was using this. It's a great light. It really is. But what I was finding is that when I looked through it, the images were kind of getting warped, and my phone is really amplifying that. It's not that bad. But it kind of warps the image a little bit. And what's happening was my eyes were starting to get strained. And by the time I was done for the evening or for a couple hours, I'd go out and sit and watch TV or just kick back with my phone. I was finding that my eyes were a little tired and felt strained. And so I still use the lens, the magnifying glass for quick things. But when I start doing engine work and stuff, I'm using these, and I love it. I absolutely do. It's rechargeable, USB-C. Plug it in. It's got a little battery indicator here that tells you when it's done, where you're at power-wise. But it's for the LED. Again, the LED light. For the purpose of what I'm doing, I haven't seen a benefit to that yet, but could easily change one model later. So if you're interested in these, go check them out. Like I said, you can either go to Loki's Scale Model, check him out. If you don't follow him, first of all, go to his channel and follow him. He's got some good content. Some interesting tips and different things like that. And so by all means, head over to his channel. You can go to his link and check it out, or I'll throw a link in my description as well for these, is something that you're interested in. So anyway, I said I was gonna talk about those, and I didn't want to mess up his channel name and send you guys in the wrong direction. But go check him out. All right, I think we still have a little bit of color difference here, but I am so glad that I decided to respray, because it's not as dull. It's still a little bit, and we're gonna deal with it. It's gonna be all right. That spot I had here is gone. I'm disappointed that I have this much color difference. It's in the entire front clip. The hood is the exact same way. I mean, I don't know, the hoods ended up being more green than the fenders did. I don't know what's going on here. I almost feel like I want to respray the fenders. Everything is just a different color. The hood's a different color than the fenders, a different color than the body. Oh, I'm kind of bummed about it. We're gonna run with it. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna just move on, and that's just how it's gonna be. We can call this a new front clip, I guess. Come in with a chrome pen and see how much damage we can do. Okay, I've got the fenders on. That did not go easy, to say the least. If you guys have done this kit, maybe you know what I'm talking about. I thought this was dry. It's still not completely dry. I added some more spots, so that's cool. Even added a spot here, which I was able to actually get off, but somehow or another, the whole top of this is peppered. But yet there is nothing on my fingers, so I don't know. The fenders, independent. There's no guideposts. There's no lips, ridges, edges that guide you to where they're supposed to go. So I had to put it in the paint stand so that I had 5 fingers and 5 or 6 hands. I was able to get the hood stuck on, or set there, and then I lined up to where the fenders have gone, dropped the hood off, see where they lined up, and then start the glue process. And that was also a treat. I ended up using the cement. I lathered it around in here, let it sit for a second, and when I put the fenders on, they were tacky, so they were able to at least hold kind of in place. And so I got this side held in place. I got the hood on, got everything lined up, let it sit for a second, did the same thing to this side. And so here's our color change vehicle. Okay, so off camera, I finished. I'm gonna throw some decals on. I end up having to super glue the front bumper in because the fenders were kind of tucked in. So I had to force them into position and super glue those. And then there's no really any glue points because you had to glue the interior into the body. So when the chassis went on, there was really no glue points there. So I just basically filled these 2 holes up full of glue. And then quick set the front pieces on. So it's on there now. I was able to get some of the chrome off the top. I used some clear polish for like plastic lenses with a microfiber. It got a couple of them off, but anyway, I'm gonna throw some decals on this thing, and when we come back, we'll do a final review. Well, final thoughts. Let's just say the decal placement on this car wasn't necessarily as designed, but more a necessity to cover up mistakes. At the end of the day, it's nobody's fault but my own. I struggle with the idea of posting this video because of all the issues I ran into, more so towards the assembly part after paint. And I preached in the beginning during paint that preparation is 99%. I have never primed a car in my entire life. Model car. Real cars, yes. Model car, no. And I've never had issues with Createx Wicked paint. I've sprayed pearls, I've sprayed metallics, I've sprayed Candy 2.0, Autoborn sealers, blues, greens, oranges, whites, you name the color, I've sprayed it. I even sprayed Hobby Lobby paint and didn't have this kind of trouble. So I sprayed this car. I wanted to go with a dark green. This is the color I wanted. And I purposely did it over black because I wanted the darker color. And this is what I sprayed. The Fluorescent Aqua W019 Createx Wicked color. When I poured this paint into the cup out of the jar, shook it well, as normal. It was very, extremely thick, thicker than I've experienced any other the Wicked paint line, Createx paint line, including the Wicked colors, Airbrush colors, etc. But I rolled with it. I put the 40-30 balancing clear in it. It didn't want to necessarily blend well with that. I had to reduce it down so far. It was, gosh, almost 2-to-1. By the time I got a sprayable consistency out of it. But when I put the reducer in it, even then it got scared of itself. It was hydrophobic acting. Didn't want to mix well. I had to set for extreme amount of time, which is normal for Wicked colors. When you reduce them, you need to let them sit. You need to let them constitute. Break the surface tension, etc. But even when I poured it into the spray airbrush to spray it, it still just was not, it was not smooth looking. It seemed like it was still separated a little bit. It thinned out, but it just didn't look right. Anyway, I ended up, I washed it. I dry sanded it. I washed it. Everything was the same. Colored it. And this Fender turned out the exact color I wanted it to. However, this was lighter, and even the hood turned out a different color as well. So the body doesn't match the fenders. The fender doesn't match the hood. The hood doesn't match the body. That's 3 different greens, basically. And they were all sprayed out of the same cup, same time, etc. I clear coated. I didn't see because it dried very matte finished, very matte, and there was no difference at all between the colors. When I clear coated them, that's when I noticed the difference. The fenders took the clear coat extremely well. The hood took the clear coat extremely well. The body did not. I ended up putting 4 coats of clear on the body, and it was still dried matte. And I used a 4053 high gloss, double checked it. And so after I contemplated things, I should have just knocked it down and sprayed it matte finish with matte clear. I'm sure it would have been looked fine, but I didn't. I wanted a really high gloss look, and I could not achieve it. So I wet sanded the entire car, short of the fenders and the hood, resprayed the green. I put 3 more coats of green on it. I clear coated it, and the clear coat actually came out that time, not as shiny as it should be, it still has a funky look to it. So I said, you know what, fine. I'm just gonna go with it. We'll hide it in with some decals. If the hood is more closer colored to the fenders, then we'll just ride it out and say it's a new front clip. Assembly. The fenders, the front clip was very difficult to put on. The fenders are not attached, as you noticed. So when I glued those on, I had used the plastic cement, laid a bead of cement, tried to lay the fender on, lay the hood on, match this fender up so that I could get the proper spacing. It still doesn't line up very well with the body mold, but it's just what it is, I guess. Finally got those on, went to mount the grill. Inside of the fenders were kind of pulled in a little bit and down. Ended up having to break the super glue out. I super glued this side, and then once that was set tight, I laid some super glue over here, pulled the fender out, stuck the grill in, and she's on. And so I think I may have said it in the video, I don't know if it'll be there if I'd edited it out or where it's at, but I really considered not even posting this video. But then I thought, when you guys watch YouTube, you're watching us build these things, whether they're for your ideas or you just enjoy watching the process of how this comes together. Everybody's builds always seem to be perfect, right? So does that mean, are we only posting the perfect ones? I thought, you know what? We all have failures in our builds, and I'm just going to fall on my sword with this one. So again, the decals were not set kind of like how I would want them. They were kind of set out of the need to cover up mistakes. So overall, the build, it wasn't horrible. The chassis went well. The only real issue as far as assembly I had was just these front fenders. We'll shoot underneath. Put the red fuel tank in. I did use the shackles to get the rear tires up. Oh, that metal rod that connects the tires together, neither one of them. Rod was too small, or these were womped out too big. Just like the Nova build, I ended up having to super glue them in. Got the ladder bars in, open headers. During this build, I wanted to get creative with my wiring again. Positive and negative battery cables put in, ran the negative down, ran it over the fender, tucked it in behind, and then the positive went down to the starter. So again, overall, so it's not a horrible build. I think the errors that I ran into are self generated. I think I rushed a little bit. I don't think I took the time that I normally take, just trying to get it done today. Anyway, enough of my babbling. There it is, the old Pro. Again, I appreciate you guys watching. If you stuck through the entire video, hats off, and I'm glad you're sticking around. I'm glad you're coming back. I'm glad that the content I am putting out is interesting, and I hope that you guys learned something. I do this because I enjoy the bottle hobby. I love building, and I figured I could share my hobby with everybody else, and so hopefully you guys could learn something from what I did, or learn something not to do something that I did. Either way it goes. So again, I appreciate it. If you like the video, slide over, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. And remember, for Gaahleri products, if you're interested in the Gaahleri airbrushes like I use, or the Kaleido paint, there's a description, or there's a link in my description. I am a rewards member for them. Anything you purchase from them gives me rewards so that I can purchase more product for my builds. I really want to start using the Kaleido paint, especially if I have more issues with Createx. But everything I buy, I have to buy myself, and so those reward points help me out as far as giving me a discount, so that if I need anything from Gaahleri, I can slide over there. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you liked anything that you saw in my builds today, including the Yakto-san lens headset thing, that is in my description as well. Go ahead and click that. It'll take you directly to where I got it from, the one I got, and you can use my affiliate link to get that. And for Spray Gunner, if you're interested in Createx paints or any other airbrush supplies, stencils, etc., head over to Spray Gunner. That link is also in my description. I'm an affiliate for Spray Gunner. So again, guys, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for living this build with me, the agony. And if you guys built this, leave a comment below. Let me know what issues you may or had or didn't have. If this was one of your best or one of your worst, or anything like that. So drop it down there in the old bleep bloop box, and I guess that's it. Built to Scale Garage. See you later.